Hi, friend. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Katie, and this is Yoga with the Wildflower Hookah. So, we are talking about spring. It is that time of the year. It is finally warming up, at least where I'm at, hopefully, where you're at as well. But not only are we talking about the season of spring, we're talking about spring in our cycle. And so our monthly cycle can be broken up into four seasons. The first season being your menstrual cycle. That's what kicks it all off, and that is often related to winter. If you're looking for a winter practice, we definitely have one, and you can check that out. But this one is going to be about spring. So, this is the follicular phase right after you're finished with your period in that time of your month. You're beginning to hopefully feel a little bit more energized, maybe a little bit more relief, less bloating. You might feel a little less tired, like kind of like you're waking up from a big nap. And so we're going to be kind of building up in this practice today and moving in a way that supports our body during this part of our cycle. So, for props, you may want a couple of blocks, a cushion or two, especially for Shavasana. We love a cozy Shavasana around here, so grab whatever you want for that. If you need a drink, I have a glass of water with me, a blanket, anything. Maybe a couple of furry friends. I've got a couple of sleeping puppies over here. So, whatever you need to make your space very hygge and very cozy, go ahead and grab those things and we'll get started in a seated position today. Go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable seated position. You can soften your gaze or close your eyes and just begin to breathe. Inhaling, filling up your belly and your ribs all the way around your lungs. A little bit more and exhale that out. Let's do that again. Inhaling, filling up every part of your torso with air as much as you can, not just in your lungs, but in your belly too. And exhale that out. Continuing to breathe that way, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth or your nose. I'm going to read today's passage to you, found in Isaiah chapter 40, verses 28 through 31. And it says this: Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he increases strength. Even youth shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I want us to focus on that image of mounting up on wings of eagles, especially during the springtime, continuing to breathe. One of the first sure signs of spring is the birds. You hear them singing, you hear them flying through the trees and wrestling things up, making their nests. You see their beautiful little eggs that they create in so many different colors. And this is such a beautiful picture of awakening, of soaring, of freedom, of building, of creating and dreaming that is found in spring. And so, as we're in this spring part of our cycle, we're going to be focusing on blooming, on opening, on awakening, and coming to life in that warmth that is found in spring. Go ahead, inhaling your arms up overhead, exhaling your right hand to the mat and your left hand up and over. And we are stretching and opening up in that left side body, keeping your hips rooted and grounded into your mat. And then inhaling arms up, exhaling your left hand down, opening up on the right side. And again, keep those hips rooted. If we don't, we might tip over. We don't want that. Keeping those hips rooted so that your upper body can find opening space. Awesome. Back up. Inhaling and then exhaling your left hand to your right knee, right hand behind you. And we're just looking off to the side. We're not maxing out on the seated spinal twist right from the get go. Inhaling is to lengthen your spine. Exhaling is just to twist slightly a bit more. And we're twisting with our middle back and our upper back, our neck, our eyes. Finding some more space here. Inhaling and then exhale. Back to center. Let's do this on the other side. Inhaling your arms up overhead. Exhaling your right hand over to your left knee. Left hand behind you. Inhale. Exhale. Twist just a little bit. You may find that one side of your body is more open than the other. That's very normal. Just be aware of it. Not a good or a bad thing, just a thing. Just become aware of that. We're going to put our wrists out in front of us and just begin to slowly rotate your wrists. Wiggle those fingers, wake them up. We do so much with our hands and our fingers and our wrists every day, and they don't often get the love that they deserve. So we're going to give it to them right now. Do the same thing with your feet. You can try one at a time, wiggling, scrunching, and opening. Your opposite foot. Awesome. Go ahead and get into a tabletop position. Placing your hands down on the mat. Your arms are straight under your shoulder. Your hands and fingers are spread wide. Knees are under your hips. This is our tabletop. So we're going to begin with some cat-cow. So inhaling, dropping your belly, opening up in your chest, bringing the shoulder blades together, opening up in your throat, and then exhale into a cow. Inhaling and just continuing to do this a few times on your own. And just waking up that spine. We're trying to move it in different directions. And let it know it's about to do some work. Just like when you are preparing a garden or planting and tending and reaping, you got to prepare that soil, right? You can't just dump your seeds into the soil without getting it ready first. So that's what we're doing with the spine. We're just letting it know, hey, we're going to be doing some movement. I want you to know what is coming up. All right, last cow here. All right, now we're going to begin to just circle our hips. I know, especially as women and even coming out of our menstrual cycle, we can still feel some tension in our hips. And so, this can just feel so nice. I think a lot of times we tend to tip this pelvis, which is kind of like a bowl. We tend to tip it either very far forward or backwards. And we don't often have it very neutral. And so sometimes it feels good to just kind of move it around and remind ourselves that we need to pay attention to it's too far tipped forward or back. Wonderful. All right, so we're going to make some room here. Our right arm lifted up, and we're going to thread the needle. You can go ahead and just rest that right shoulder on the mat. You can reach forward with your left hand or diagonally if you want a little bit more of a stretch. Opening up in this back, creating space. Wonderful. Placing your left hand back on the mat, pushing yourself up. That opposite stretch. You're opening in the opposite direction. Left hand up. Thread that needle under. And again, you can find whatever way you would like to place your top arm. Trying to keep those hips fairly neutral. And you can push yourself back up with your right arm. Wonderful. All right, we're going to take our right foot and you're going to extend it out to the side. If it is parallel with your hip, awesome. If it goes a little farther back towards the back of your mat, that is great too. Try not to go too far forward. I wouldn't say past your hip. We're going to inhale, lean little bit forward, and then exhale. Get those hips back almost as if you're doing child's pose. 2 more. Inhaling and exhaling. And you might be feeling this a little bit in your inner thighs, maybe a little bit on your outer hip. Inhaling and exhaling. And we are just, again, preparing that soil for what we're about to do. Now you're going to cross that right foot over the top of your left calf. They're not touching, it's just crossed over it. And we're going to do that again. We're just going to inhale forward, exhale back. You can either keep that top leg straight, so straight out to the side, or you can keep it bent. Maybe play with that and see which you prefer. We're just moving around, trying to get different spots in our hips, preparing that soil. Okay, now we're reaching that right leg straight back. We're just going to go forward and back again, creating space in our calf, in our hamstrings, even in the bottom of our feet. It'll be really nice for that. All right. We're going to kickstand our left foot, the one that has the knee down. We're going to bring our right foot back so our foot is even with our knee and our hand is even with our knee. And then we're going to extend that top arm up. You can do it straight up. You can do it up over your ear like that. For a supported side plank. You want to get real wild. You can try lifting up that foot, engaging those abs for balance. You can play around with finding some mobility in those shoulders. Our bodies can just do incredible things. And I think sometimes we get stuck in the same movements. So it feels good to do things like this. Go ahead and set that all back into our tabletop. And we're going to do this again on the other side. So extend your left foot out to the side, whatever degree that is, that angle is. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. And I just love this stretch. I don't know about you, but I get so tight in my hips and my legs, and this just feels so good. We're warming that body back up after a season of winter in our bodies, where we are resting more, maybe not moving quite as much. And so we don't want to just jump into it. You don't go from winter to summer. So we're crossing that leg over the right one. So we're doing that kind of cross stretch here. We don't go from winter to summer. Neither does nature. So we have to have spring first. We have to prepare. We have to awaken. Things come to life and warm up before we get to summer. Leg is extended straight behind you. And again, just doing that rocking motion, just gentle. Trying to find some opening, awakening different parts of our body. All right, and then we're going to do that supported side plank again. So that back foot is parallel with your knee, which is kickstand out, and is lined up with your knee and your foot. Top arm is up, And again, you can keep it up, straight, or you can extend it over your head. And again, if you want to try to have some balance fun, woo, try that. You can try reaching. Don't overdo it though. We're not as warmed up as we want to be for certain shapes quite yet. Awesome. All right, finding ourselves back into that table position. We're going to get up on our knees, put our arms into like a cactus pose. So kind of like field goal arms. If your hands are facing forward. And we're going to open up in the chest, just like we did with cat cow. And then we're going to go back down to table. 2 more times. Up into cactus, opening up in that chest. And then back down to table. Once more. Opening up in our chest. Back down to table. All right, so now we're going to tuck our toes, bend our knees, and lift our hips up and back into downward facing dog. Go ahead and pedal those feet out as it is our first downward dog of the day. Stretching out in your back. Wakening up that part of your body. On an inhale, we're going to lift up our right foot. Just point it behind you. Go ahead and rotate those ankles and feet and wiggle those toes. Finding that space. And you're going to take your foot, bend your knee, and try to reach your foot towards your left hip, opening up in that hip. And that can feel so nice. All right, and then placing your foot back down the mat, just on the other side. Lift up with that left foot, just straight up and back. Rotating that foot, wiggling those toes, and bending your knee, and reaching that foot towards your right hip, opening up, trying to keep your hands and shoulders neutral. We're almost there. Well done. And place that back on your mat. Hold forward into plank, and then step your feet forward into our forward fold. Go ahead and grab opposite elbows here, swaying side to side. Maybe you want to place your hands on your shins. Do our halfway lift. Release that back down. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands, heart center, in our tree pose. Inhale, arms up overhead. And we're going to reach our hips back as if we were reaching for a chair. And once you got there, go a little bit deeper. Arms up overhead. And we're going to hold this chair pose for 2 breaths. Doing great. Breathe it out. We're waking up, opening in our bodies. And then you can release that back to mountain. All right, back down into our chair pose. This time, you're going to take your right foot and place it on your left foot. Place it on your right knee. We're going to do a seated figure 4 here. If you would like to put your hands down at prayer, you're very welcome to do so. Maintaining that straight spine. Engage those abs to help with stability. 1 more breath. And back up. If you're a little wobbly, it's very okay. All right. We're going to take that figure 4 and add to it and make it into an eagle. If you would like to use a block for this, you're very welcome to. Put it on the outside of your right foot. And this foot, when it crosses over, you can use that block. All right, inhale, arms up overhead. Back into our chair pose. You're doing great. Go into that figure 4. So this time you can cross your legs as if you're sitting cross-legged in a chair, and you can place your toes on that block. Or if you want to wrap your feet all the way around your calf, you can do that as well. You're doing great. If you would like to add the eagle arms, you're putting them at two 90-degree angles. The left arm can wrap under the right, and you can keep wrapping until your palms touch, or you can just press your forearms together. So this is our eagle pose, soaring high on wings like eagles. Waking up, building the strength, preparing the soil for what God has for us. Slowly uncross your arms, press yourself back up, uncross your legs, find yourself a mountain, find that breath. That was a lot of work. You're doing great. Finding that breath. It's always okay to stop whatever movement practice you are choosing to do, whether it's yoga, anything, to find that breath. It's okay to stop and do that. All right, so opposite side, we're going to go ahead and switch this block. We are set up for it. Arms up overhead, back into that chair pose. You're doing great, friend. I'm proud of you for showing up today. Awesome. One more breath. Sit a little lower if you can. And back up. Great job. This time we're going to do the figure four. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Get those hips back. Lift that right foot up this time. You can do it. There we go. Into our standing figure four. And again, we're feeling that openness in the hip, just like we did earlier when we were in table and kind of moving our leg around. Part of what we were preparing for. Doing great. Almost there. Okay. Inhale, stand up slowly. Place that foot back on the mat. Shake it out. We can do this. Eagle pose on the left side. Here we go. We're going to do this together. Get into that chair pose. You can stay here if you want. We're going to go to figure four. Again, you can stay here, or you can let that foot slide down. You have a block. I'm using a block today. Go ahead and put your foot there. If you want to do eagle arms, you can press your forearms together like that, or you can wrap right under left. If you ever get confused about which arm to wrap when you're an eagle, whichever leg is on top, so my right leg is on top, and my right arm will be on the bottom. One more breath. All right, slowly unwrap those arms, unwrap those legs, shake it out, arms up overhead. Let's give ourselves a refreshing forward fold here. Kind of release all that work that you did. The Lord is our strength. The reason that we will get to soar on eagle's wings is because God is our strength. The reason that eagles get to soar on eagle's wings is because God is their strength. So we're going to lean into that as we awaken and we prepare our arms up overhead, back into mountain here. And then we're going to open up. I'm going to turn this way so you can see me. Back into those cactus arms. Opening up. And those arms down. We're going to work our way into tree. So we're going to start with our right leg. Go ahead and get those toes open and planted while we were waking up those toes. Get them planted in there so your whole foot is taking up space. And then you want to activate the muscles in your right leg here, including those buns. They help make a great trunk for your tree. Then we're going to shift all of our weight into the right side of our body here. You're doing great. We're slowly building. We're preparing that soil. Those eagles start out as babies. And they slowly, slowly prepare, leave the nest to fly and to soar. And so that's what we're doing, slowly preparing. All right, we're going to take our left foot here, and you're just going to turn it so that the bottom of your foot is pressed against your right ankle. This is tree pose. If you want to stay here, you can stay here. If you want to use a block for that foot, please do. Remember when we were opening up in our hips earlier, we were preparing the soil. All right, placing your foot on your calf if you'd like to give that a try, or up higher. I'm going to stay here. You can do your arms up overhead like tree branches. You can do it at heart. It's okay if you wobble. Trees blow in the wind. We just want a strong trunk, and that takes time to awaken, to develop, and that's okay. All right, you can release your foot. Ooh, shake out that foot you were standing on. Sometimes they can get a little crampy. You've been using them a lot. All right, left side. So again, spread open those toes. Get that left foot to take up space. Activating all the muscles in your left leg. Go ahead and turn. You're opening up in your hip. Got that right foot on your left ankle. Again, this is tree pose, so you can stay right here and do your arms however you'd like. You can also use a block. You can move your foot up, activating, making sure that you're compressing. You're bringing everything in, and that can help strengthen your tree. Focus on something that isn't moving. There's a whole sermon in that. Focusing on our unchanging God, and that can bring stability. But we're growing, we're preparing, just like in spring. It doesn't all grow to maturity right away. It takes time and faithfulness. All right, bringing that foot back down. Great job. Shake it out. Awesome. Go ahead, if you're not at the top of your mat, find the top of your mat, arms up overhead, forward fold. Great job. Step back into plank, lower those knees, and then we are going to go ahead and get into a seated position here. Your legs open into a V shape. Inhaling those arms up, we're going to hinge at the hips and lean forward. Finding your breath here. If you're feeling any strain in your lower back, just ease off a little bit, okay? We're not trying to pull at our lower back. We're trying to create space in our legs and in our hips. Done a lot of work, a lot of preparing, and now it's time to cool down and to rest before we get back to work. Part of the beauty of spring is that we are still called to rest. We're called to awaken and to plant and to tend and to sow. But there are still moments when it's still a little bit chilly. It still gets dark. The sun isn't out until 9 o'clock yet. So it's a reminder to still rest. Get excited, make those plans and those dreams, begin to work, but still rest and finding that balance. Inhaling back up, arms up overhead. We're going to turn our upper body towards our left foot and do the same thing here. Hinging at the hips. This would be more of a passive stretch. We're not overly activating things or working really hard. We're just kind of letting gravity help us. slow things down. Finding that rest, warming up, and awakening takes effort. We still need to listen and rest. Inhale, arms up overhead. I don't know how many times we're over our right foot now. I don't know how many times I've finished my menstrual cycle and I'm finally feeling a bit more like myself, and I just over tackle things, overdo it, and then I'm exhausted. This is our gentle reminder again that we don't go from winter to summer. There's spring for a reason. And it's that ease, that slowness and softness of beginning to wake up and beginning to plant and prepare. You don't feel like you have to rush into anything. Take your time waking up. We'll go ahead and cross your feet, comfortable seated position. One hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Finding that breath that we found at the beginning. Inhale and exhale. Inhaling and exhaling. We're going to finish this practice today with a breath prayer. So on an inhale, the Lord is my strength. And on exhale, He helps me to soar. Inhale, the Lord is my strength. Exhale, He helps me to soar. I'm going to close this practice. Thank you for joining me today. God, we thank you for this opportunity to spend time with you on our mats in your word. We thank you for spring. We thank you for this part of our cycle where we begin to awaken a little bit and have more energy. But may we remember that there is spring before there is summer. May we follow your gentle leading, your softness. May we prepare the soil for whatever it is that you have planned for us. And may you be our strength. Thank you for my friend who has joined me today. May you bless them with peace and love and joy. In Jesus' name, amen.